Welcome to the POMcast with Stephen Willis. Now we're going to do things a little different. We are going to provide an honest look at Ole Miss athletics for the fan, by the fan, and of the fan. That is what we do. Hell be to me. I'm just kidding. Tune in for some Ole Miss sports news. We're going to give it to you straight. Yeah, right now. The POMcast starts now. It happens now. Holy cow. Listen to me. It's starting. Well, it's going to start right about now. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome everybody to the POMcast. I am your host, Stephen Willis, on this journey of enlightenment and all the stuff that you are used to on a daily basis. Thank you for joining us today, and definitely thank you for making it to National Signing Day, which doesn't really feel like a National Signing Day because we're waiting on one kid. And kind of like when I work back at Rivals, I'll go over my resume at another time, but I spent about a decade at Rivals working for headquarters, and signing day was like our Christmas, our New Year's, our 4th of July, our Memorial Day, everything all rolled into one. I mean, it was a huge thing, all hands on deck. Now, Ole Miss is waiting on one kid. That shows you what early signing period has done to basically the signing process in college football. You can see over on the left, the early signees are there. We some early enrollees are probably there as well, and you can look at those. But today is all about Tywone Malone, and we are going to basically set him up in a way. He's a defensive lineman out of Bergen Catholic in New Jersey, and if signed, he will be the highest rated person in this class. He will be the top dog. He'll be the alpha dog. He would be the one that would come in and make things happen. Now, this isn't meant as a slight towards Isaiah Iton or Jamon Gordon and everything, because they are needed. You talk about JUCOs. You bring a JUCO in for the first year, essentially. And hopefully by year 2, one of their positions is taken by Tywone Malone, who, like I said, is from Bergen Catholic. He's being recruited by Chris Partridge, who's also from New Jersey. But the kid is a special player. He's also a first baseman, hoping to play baseball. That's one of the reasons Ole Miss is in it. He's visited Ole Miss twice. He's visited A&M once, and he has visited Florida State once. Those are probably the final 3. And hold on just a second. See. So, I was trying to put a poll in. It didn't work this time. We'll figure out the bugs and get it to you in the future. But if you look at the video, he's a very, very good prospect, defensive line. He's the highest ranked prospect, I think, on the board. But he's definitely the highest ranked prospect on our board, because if he signs, he'd be the elite of the class. Now, once we get into segment 2, where we're going over the signing class as a whole, we're not going to do video and everything for everybody like this. This is kind of a special situation based on him announcing today. In segment 3, we're going to cover Ole Miss's 52-50 win over Tennessee last night. You don't really expect it. They just come out of nowhere and give it to you. Like, hey, we just beat number 11 at home, and we haven't won a ranked game in 2 years. So it's kind of progressing that way. Today is shaping up to be a relatively good day for the Ole Miss fans. And I want to talk a little bit about Tywone Malone and basically this drama. Everything always tightens up at signing day. Everything always does. It's because it's the subscriber equivalent of clickbait. Now, I was in that world. I worked in that world. I understand that world. But you need to realize if there's any player, they're going to manufacture drama. Whether there is or there isn't, they're going to manufacture drama so that you keep coming back. Hopefully they can draw subscribers. They're basically using you as an ATM and manufacturing drama. I'm not saying one way or another it's real or it's not, but if you read things like, oh, this is really tightened up in the last 48 hours, they don't really know. Lane Kiffin and the sources, they're not talking to the media. There is no friendly setup like it was. This is basically a lot of guesswork and a lot of legwork. You're dealing with recruiting people on Twitter. You're dealing with basically educated guesses. Now, and even if the faucet was open for information, which it's not, even if it was, you're still going off one side of the conversation based off of when you need the other kid. You need the kid. And if the kid's not talking and the coach is talking and the coaches think he's going to get it, and then you say you think he's coming, and then he goes somewhere else, all of a sudden it looks like something happened and something went wrong. But in the reality is all of this has been manufactured. It's all been made up. All so that you can be anxious. All that you can buy subscriptions. It is the subscriber model version of clickbait. And you just have to be really careful with the information you receive. If you have somebody on a daily basis, like 24-hour news, there's a cycle that has to be met. And if there are no news, there has to be some news. You can't just go a week without putting anything out. You have to manufacture news. So just realize that whenever you read all these people and you're trying to follow day by day in recruiting, they're doing that to fill up a news cycle. Not saying it's totally made up, but the story itself and the fact that drama has been being made about recruiting in June is manufactured. And if you understand that, all of a sudden you can go into actual recruiting with a clear mind and you can understand what's going on. And you can hit the crystal balls for the national analysts. Don't mess with the team site stuff. The national analyst. And you can hit the national analyst on Rivals at the POMcast. All of that is available for free. If you want to search a kid on both, you can search a kid on both and not have to pay a dime. And you can look at the POMcast and that'll direct you in the way it's going to go. All of these things are meant to be enticements to get you to pay for a subscription. But in reality, all you're doing with a subscription is paying for a message board. Now, if you are on a message board now and you deal with other posters on there, would you stay on that message board? That's the question. And they mix it in with recruiting and all this other stuff and stories. It's basically camouflaged drama. That's all it is. And Tywone Malone in the last 48 hours, they're all saying it tightened up quite a bit. We don't know where he's going to go. Well, the crystal balls haven't changed. So it's either you were right all along or you were wrong all along. That's where we are. And if you were wrong all along, that kind of eliminates the need to follow you on a day-to-day basis. So when I call weathermen, that's what I'm talking about. They're weathermen. There's no punishment for them being incorrect. They just throw stuff against the wall, see if it sticks. If it sticks, they claim right. If it falls, they just ignore it. So that is the basic what if of Tywone Malone. Now, I don't know one way or another if he's going to Ole Miss. I do not have a source on the matter. And once Darby gets in, he'll dig into that and we'll be able to expand that area of our broadcast. But me personally, I do not have an in one way or another on that camp. The crystal balls on 24/7 are like 8-0 in favor of Ole Miss. The POMcast on Rivals are like 6-2, and the only two that pick Texas A&M are Texas A&M team siders. everybody that is national has predicted Ole Miss. So we'll see. The announcement is at, I think, 3 or 4 o'clock today. I think 4 o'clock today, maybe, on ESPN2. If he commits to Ole Miss, we will do a quick stream. We'll set up the event right after this, but basically, 10 to 15 minutes. And we're working on getting basically comments added and everything that we can incorporate in the show, because that's kind of what we like. You can see the ad stuff, you can see all the stuff we have populating, but we're working on the Twitter integration. So if you post in the comments, we can put it on the screen, something like that. So Tywone Malone today. Everything is pointing towards an announcement to Ole Miss. There is drama trying to be manufactured in the background. Whether it's true or not, who knows? They're right about 25% of the time. But it's something worth keeping an eye on, because even if they're right only 25% of the time, that's 1 out of 4 times they're right. This might be one of those times. So we need to pay attention to that. When we come back, we're going to go over the signing class as a whole. Braylon Brown, Tysheem Johnson, Isaiah Iton, Jamon Gordon, those guys. And then segment 3, we're going to go over the basketball game last night. Ole Miss, a 52-50 winner over number 11 Tennessee in the Pavilion at Ole Miss. So that was pretty cool. So we're going to do all that. And before we handle that, we're going to take a couple of breaks and stick around.
Only 10% of us get enough daily exercise.
And that number is dropping.
Nearly 30% of us are overweight or obese. We spend 6 hours a day in front of a screen.
As a result, we now have a shorter life expectancy than our parents.
But give us the right start in sports, and we'll never stop.
Learn how at active4life.ca.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis from Positively Ole Miss. We're almost done with this break. We'll be back with good information quite soon.
The military has been in every generation of my family, and so has VA. It wasn't easy for my dad after Vietnam, but VA helped him and my mom get the home they'd always wanted. My grandpa's been coming to VA since World War II. They even helped him lay to rest one of his battle buddies from Normandy. And me, I followed in their footsteps and served with pride. And now that I'm out of the military, the GI Bill's helping me with school. Every generation of my family has served, and VA has served us all.
All right, welcome back to the show. POMcast, Stephen Willis. Thanks for joining us. Basically, we're going to go over now the recruiting class as a whole. The ones that have already signed, the ones that signed back in December, they should not be forgotten today. From quarterback Luke Altmaier, quarterback out of Starkville, had several days. He's a pretty elite prospect, a late flip from Florida State. Hudson Wolf, a tight end out of Tennessee that is in the top 10 in that state. He overcame an injury, but he's a well-built young man. He's 6'7", 240, tight end out of Hardin County, which is over near Savannah. That's West Tennessee. And just a heck of a player. If he wouldn't got hurt, he would have gone up. He decommitted from Tennessee, came to Ole Miss. Tysheem Johnson from Philadelphia. He went to Newman Goretti High School in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. 5'10", 190, defensive back. I want to see him on a college football field because He is my favorite player of this class that's coming at Ole Miss. I think he has a chance to be extremely special, but it's going to come down to his mentality and how he attacks things on a daily basis. His athletic ability is off the chart. He's a little bit on the short side, but there's a chance he could play something like a star position or a strong safety position, even though he's so small, because of his athleticism and their ability to use him in different ways. When I call him a super athlete, he really is a super athlete. He could return punts. He could return kickoffs. He could roam the secondary and play all positions in the secondary. He's that athletic to do it. And he has I just need to see that mentality. I need to see that hunger for him that takes everybody from good players to great players. Because if he has it, we should notice this year. He should flash this year. He might not be consistent at this point, but you can see him going into 2022 and beyond. He genuinely has honey badger characteristics. I mean, he's a super athlete, but I need to see, does he attack the ball? Does he tackle like that? Is he always around where, does he have that knack of getting where you need to be? That's stuff that I need to see. And that is the development step that he needs to take, because the athleticism is there. I mean, he's a freakish athlete. I mean, you could line him up at tailback and he would give Jerry Neely a run for his money at running back. I mean, he's that much of an athlete. And it is just, I'm looking forward to seeing it, and I want to get spring practice reports. Hopefully it opens up a little bit for spring practice and Chris can go lay eyes on it and can be a breakdown for some of those players and can come on the show and just break it out, because I'm really excited about Tysheem Johnson. Dink Jackson, he's listed on here as being from Melbourne, Florida, but Ole Miss listed him as being from Key West, which means he is one of the few people ever that has gone from Key West to Mississippi. Nothing against Mississippi, but it's not Key West. He is a player that is going to rotate between outside linebacker and star and strong safety. That is kind of his niche. Kind of the low end will linebacker, the high end star linebacker, strong safety. He's a good player. He plays close to the line of scrimmage a lot. Really doing the outside linebacker stuff in high school, so it might be a little bit of a transition of him getting into a college secondary that's worth keeping an eye on. But he's an extremely physical player. He likes contact and he likes getting after the quarterback. I think he's going to land at probably that star position and speed up our linebackers. And that position has been a major weak point for us all season. Whenever we had trouble on the edges against the run, that was the star. That's that position that wasn't getting there. And you saw at the beginning of the year, Dalen Gill started. His playing time evaporated. Jalen Stanley, his playing time evaporated. By the end of the year, I mean, it was basically Tylen Knight playing that position at 5'5", 180 pounds. Nothing against Tylen Knight. He's one of my favorite players on that defense. But if you're trying to set an edge that way, going up against an offensive lineman or whoever, and that creates a huge problem. Markevius Brown out of IMG, defensive back, 6-foot corner. He's a cornerback. Him and MJ Daniels are back to back. I'm sorry if you can hear Archie in the background. He's barking at who knows what. Must have a delivery driver here or something. MJ Daniels, another 6-foot corner. Him and Markevius Brown. MJ Daniels, a 6'3" playing cornerback. If you see me looking off to the side, I'm reading off a monitor. And you can see the pieces being assembled for the defense to make a rapid improvement. You're going to see the ones that come back get pressured by these young guys. And, you can just take it and you can just see it and feel it coming, because they're going to work on these defensive linemen, these defensive backs. Dink Jackson, like I said, he has a little bit of linebacker potential. But it's all kind of flowing into place defensively for this team. And offensively, you saw last year they basically did what they wanted to do offensively with big plays and explosives on top of the Baylor system, the Baylor run game, which, is actually, the Baylor run game is basically Rich Rod's run game. So the fact that we had a year breaking into that system, transitioning to the Baylor system, it kind of flowed in a very pointed way and helped them do it. Kendrick Breedlove out of Pearl Cone in Nashville. Defensive back athlete. He's another super athlete. They're going to put him out there. Isaiah Aiton, defensive tackle. Jamon Gordon, defensive tackle. Those are the ones that we were talking about earlier when we were discussing Tywone Malone. And the way it's supposed to go, one of those guys is going to have to fall in year 2, because if Tywone Malone develops as we expect him to, all of a sudden one of them is going to have to sit down, because Tywone Malone is a year 1 play a lot, year 2 starter guy. Brandon Buckhalter, a wide receiver. I believe he went to he went to one of the JPS schools down there, but transferred to Hartsfield Academy. He's a wide receiver. He's listed as a wide receiver DB, but he's a wide receiver. Quay Davis, wide receiver, slot guy. He's very, very big. He's like a running back playing wide receiver, and he's quick as lightning. He's worth keeping an eye on. I think we will stop it right there. We'll pick it up tomorrow with DeMarco Williams, but that's just kind of, we're taking a look at the signing class and the way that it can be built up. Not necessarily in your head and everything, but it's the way it's probably going to be used. Now, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we will discuss Ole Miss's win over Tennessee, 52-50, number 11 Tennessee. Anyway, we're going to take this short break. Stick around.
You want to answer that, don't you? I bet it's just killing you seeing the soft glow just inches away. Someone wants to tell you something or ask you something. Oh, come on, answer it already! Just so we're clear, that wasn't my fault. Next time, ignore your inner voice. Don't text and drive. A message from Florida's trusted choice independent insurance agents.
Hey, this is Stephen Willis. I just want you to stick around a little longer. We're going to get back to the podcast right after these messages.
Tonight, nearly 40,000 veterans across the country are homeless. These men and women have pledged to serve our nation, and now we must serve them. Landlords across the country have helped make significant progress in reducing veteran homelessness by making housing available, but there is more that we can do to bring our veterans home. Visit www.va.gov/homeless to see how you can get involved. And if you are a veteran and you are experiencing homelessness, please call 877-4AID-VET. Thank you.
Welcome back, segment 3 of the POMcast. Thank you so much for joining us. We went over in segment 1 Tywone Malone and National Signing Day and how it's a little different. We've gone over in segment 2 a little bit of the signing class from top to bottom. And in segment 3, we're going to cover a little bit about basketball. Now, if you watch that game, it kind of hurt to watch. It really was. It was not exactly watchable. It was not exactly what you would expect from Ole Miss basketball. But, it was a defensive slugfest. Ole Miss won the game 52-50. And on top of that, the leading scorer was Devontae Shuler with 15 points. Romello White had 14 points. Jarkel Joyner 7, Luis Rodriguez 7, including a massive poster dunk that if it wasn't on SportsCenter last night, I would be surprised. And I mean, it was a fantastic dunk. It really was. But this team is allergic to shooting the ball. They won the game because they made it ugly, they made it gritty, and the other team couldn't score. And that is a type of regressive basketball, but is kind of the position we're in at the moment, where we need the other team to play poorly. If they get hot, it's over. I mean, look at the first half. You look at the little spurt in the second half. Tennessee would make threes and go up by 11 points, 10 points. Went up by 11 in the second half, and Ole Miss just chipped away. They went to the 1-3-1 zone. Tennessee had really no answer for that. Tennessee really has, let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? They have no frontline point guard, and they have no frontline big. They're solid everywhere else, but that's what they're missing, a point and a big. And that is going to tear them up once it comes to NCAA tournament time and, that NCAA tournament time, because it's such a guard-dominated position to be in, especially in the NCAA tournament. And not having a point guard is going to hurt them if they go. Now, if we go, which I don't think we will, we're sitting at like 10-8 at this point or something like that. 9-8, 4-6 in the conference. Not likely to go. I mean, and then IT berth might be in our future, but they're probably going to miss out because they're just allergic to shooting and scoring the ball. Jarkel Joyner's mid-range game is fantastic. Devontae Shuler around the rim is very good. Romello Wright around the rim is very good. They just have nobody that they can count on behind the arc. Shuler's streaky. He can make some in a bunch, but it's not consistent. Jarkel Joyner isn't quite there. He needs to really work on that and try and extend his range by about 2 to 3 feet in the offseason. That should be his number one goal. And then Grant Slatton and Deshaun Ruffin and James White are coming in next year, which will help quite a bit. But that is going to wrap up our National Signing Day POMcast. We are going to plan on if Tywone Malone picks Ole Miss, plan on doing a quick stream at about 3 or 4 o'clock. So stick around for that, or hang around for that, or pay attention, or whatever. Keep your eyes open. But that's kind of the plan. If he doesn't pick Ole Miss, who cares? But if he does, we're planning on doing something like that, and we'll happen to see what's going on. All right, so I'm Stephen Willis. This has been the POMcast, Positively Ole Miss, and you guys have a great day. Howdy toddy.